building where they could have family parties. They took a bus, 45 miles one way. They came here, they got so many tickets they tried. Yeah.
Scott, were you saying that there was issues with the Wi-Fi today?
What's that?
Were you saying there were issues with the Wi-Fi today?
Yeah, I got knocked off. I couldn't get back off. We had tech support in today on another issue also. We lost Wi-Fi for a while.
Can you use the phone as a hotspot?
I'm recording now, so we can go.
So we're recording? Okay. All right.
From the top, or?
Just that way there, and it's being recorded now, it's not streaming.
Thank you.
Okay, just to reiterate, I know I already introduced myself as the chief of police. I did receive the letter and proposed suggested ordinance from the ACLU, which was sent to all the cities and towns in the state of Rhode Island. And as one person said before me, I was kind of surprised that it was on the agenda that fast. However, we have a standard in place. We have a general order in place, which is a standard. The standard is different rules and regulations and general orders that police departments follow, such as use of force, pursuit policies. This particular policy is immigration enforcement. I'm not going to bore you with all the nuances of the policy. If you would like a copy of it, you can call our records department and request one. But basically, we do coordinate with federal law enforcement agencies. We had it for, we do that for drugs. We do it for violent criminals and warrant squads. And we also do it when they have a warrant or detainer for anyone that is, has broken the immigration law in the United States of America. With that said, we follow we're a state accredited agency, and these are the standards we follow, which are the best practices nationwide for these different rules and regulations and general orders. So nothing has changed on our end as the policy and procedure that we take in. We arrest people, their illegal entries, or they have detainers or warrants from ICE, and how we turn them over to ICE, or in the process of us receiving information that they actually are wanted by ICE for illegal entry into the country. So I say we have a standard in place. It's a nationwide best practices for law enforcement. And this isn't just a North Smithfield issue. I had a meeting this morning with the Chiefs of Police Association where all the chiefs of police are on basically all the accredited agencies, and I only think there's 3 or 4 that aren't in the state, go by these best practices. They're basically verbatim policies that when Socket follows, Smithfield follows, Warwick PD follows, and nothing has changed. What has changed in the media, or what you see on television or social media, is the way the federal government are dealing with these issues now. But nothing has really changed for our policy and the way the North Smithfield Police operate as a law enforcement agency. So if that answers all your questions, yes, sir.
Is the governor going on TV telling?
We haven't.
We can't take comments from the floor.
Trump's not welcome here, ICE isn't welcome here.
I have no comment.
Telling your office and your police station.
Chief, we haven't opened it up.
Oh, okay. No,
I'm sorry, sir, we haven't opened up for comment yet.
so
Question.
That's a comment.
So I also contacted the interlocal trust that insures the cities and towns in the state of Rhode Island. They're going to have a meeting with the solicitors just on this, just to reiterate that this policy is in place. We are accredited, we follow the standards, and those organizations, cities and towns, police departments that aren't accredited, you know, the trust supports the accredited agencies and the policies in which we follow. So,
May I ask a question?
Yeah?
Chief, could you explain, there's some confusion out there, the difference between a detainer and a warrant. I know they're 2 very different things, but can you explain what the difference is if ICE has a detainer or ICE has a warrant for an individual?
well, a detainer is something that it's a crime within the renaturalization of a person coming into the country. We can't hold people, we can't arrest people on detainers. But how we How we interact with ICE is when we arrest somebody, we have charges. They fax us a detainer or a warrant that they either, within 48 hours, it's in the policy that they can come pick up this person if we have them in custody for that certain amount of time. So they both kind of act as the same, but we can't just arrest on one where we can arrest on the warrant. So if we come in contact with someone with a detainer, we tell them to report to whatever, but those records, in other words, if we have an arrest, that's how we generally deal with these situations and issues. If they have a warrant, they come and pick up this individual. We don't stop, question, and hold just on a detainer, but we could hold on the warrant. So they're kind of the same, but one you can hold, one you cannot.
How about the flip side of that? If you arrest somebody on a crime, for a crime that is here illegally, and they don't have a detainer, but they did commit a crime, will you call ICE and say, we have so-and-so? Would you be interested, would you issue a detainer for this individual?
We can do that. And there's a process in which we can follow through the computer system when we run them through that system. And it's all spelled out in this policy. And we have 48 hours, we can hold them until we get a response.
Okay. Is there any other questions from the council?
I do have a question. I don't necessarily know, Chief, if this is something that you could answer, but there is a provision in this immigration protection ordinance regarding our municipal school districts and whether or not we have any policies there dealing with immigration agency requests for student immigration status. Do you know if our schools have any policies in place to manage this?
I do not.
Okay.
I don't have any
Okay.
idea of what the schools are doing with that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, did council have any more questions?
I don't have questions for Chief, but I do have something that I would just like to say. Okay. First and foremost, Chief, thank you so much for that understanding of our policies and procedures and the fact that our officers are accredited. So I really appreciate you taking the time to go through that. I would like to say that I am not surprised that this was on this week's agenda. It was included on the agenda to ensure transparency and to ensure that we all collectively have an understanding of our policies and procedures that are in place to obviously mitigate any risk in an effort to ensure that our community as well as our police officers are safeguarded. So I think, Chief, again, knowing that we have policies and procedures in place, that we could all rest a little bit easier knowing that we have, are the appropriate protocols.
Sure.
So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. So does anyone have any questions?
Hey, I'm curious, how does the proposed ordinance from the ACLU differ from the policies that we already have in place?
I think more so on the cooperation with federal law enforcement agencies. I think that's the biggest difference.
Could I just have your name and address, please?
Elizabeth Hammond, and I'm at 19 Chester Street.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Hmm?
How many ICE detainers have you served here? How many illegals have,
One
just one?
this week.
5 years this week? Yep, thank you. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All right, anyone else? Okay, thank you,
And
Chief.
that wasn't a detainer, it was a person who committed a felony crime, and we received a fax from ICE that he had a deportation detainer on him, and they came and picked him up.
Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Chief.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Does anyone else have any other questions or comments?
So just so we're clear then, so this was put on the agenda, but you're not looking to pass this ordinance, so you don't
No,
support this ordinance?
It was just for transparency, and every city and town is talking about what they're doing, so we just figured that we would be able to bring out that there's been no changes in our town, that nothing has changed, and just to bring that to light, that's all.
Okay.
Yeah. It says discussion by council vote or other action, so I guess we consider this a discussion.
So I am gonna just make a motion to not take any action on this item. Is that okay? So that's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Any other discussion?
The only discussion I want to add, and I totally agree with not taking any action on this, was I just don't think it's fair to say that NRI Now was irresponsible, because there was not a lot of room for interpretation on the agenda item, and they just went basically off. I believe she basically went off what was on the agenda.
Okay, but a phone call could have been made, or, you know, to get some comments. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
This is for what are we doing?
Taken no action.
Yes.
Mr. DeCristofaro.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Punchak.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes.
Do you want to recess?
Is anyone leaving? Because we can recess for a few minutes if anyone wants to leave, or are we good?
Or stick around for the festivities.
All right, so we're going to recess for 5.
For discussion on it or no?
We just did. We're going to take a 5-minute recess, so anyone who wants to leave